education. Also collaborates with the UNEB, UBTEB, and National Curriculum Development Center. Now, another body that came and interacted with us, NASTA, also submitted that the Act should do or could also point out the collaboration of NTC with other departments like Education Students Agency and the Education Service Commission. The National Council for Higher Education indicated that the bill does not include other organs like ESA, NCDC, that have bearing with education matters like standards, quality, and curriculum development. EAN stated that the collaboration with the National Council should provide for collaboration in the training of trainers and accreditation of CPD programs for the teachers. Committee observations. The committee observes that the clause stands to leave out other critical agencies such as the National Curriculum Development Center, which are critical in the teaching profession. Recommendation. The committee recommends that clause 10 should be amended to include collaboration with other government agencies. B, to provide for collaboration in the training of trainers and accreditation of continuous professional development programs for teachers. 4.42, conflicting mandate with the National Council for Higher Education. The committee noted that the bill provides for conflicting mandates between the National Council for Higher Education and National Teachers Council. The National Council for Higher Education is amended under Section 4M of the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act, CAP 262, to certify that an institution of higher education has adequate and accessible physical structures and staff for the courses to be offered by it. National Council for Higher Education informed the committee that granting the National Teachers Council power to inspect and train and training institutions to ensure compliance creates a conflict with the role of the National Council for Higher Education to monitor, evaluate, regulate higher education institutions. Committee observations. The committee observes that Clause 11 of the bill gives the Council powers in regard to training institutions. The word training institution is defined under the bill to mean a tertiary institution, other degree awarding institution, or university as defined in the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act. By giving the National Teachers Council this power, the bill is going beyond the scope of the application clause. The committee further observes that Clause 11D of the bill gives the Council power to call for the production of books of accounts, plans, or other documents of the Council. So the clause requires the Council to call for its own records. This is an administrative function which can be done between the Council and the Register without putting it under the law. The bill provides under Clause 11E that the Council shall have powers to enter and inspect any training institution to ensure compliance with this Act, and Clause 11E also presents a conflict with the functions of the National Council for Higher Education under Section 4M of the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act, CAP 262. So the power should stretch to only education institutions. Recommendation. The committee recommends that Clause 11 should be amended to provide for the correct terminology of education institution. And Clause 11 provides for training institutions which are not in the purview of the bill. And the bill is going beyond the scope of its application clause 2, and thus conflicting with the mandate of the National Council of Higher Education. Recommendation B, Clause 11D should be deleted because it is an administrative function which can be done without inclusion in the legislation. C, Clause 11E should be amended to provide for the inspection of education institutions which was inadvertently left out. Committees of Council. The committee notes that Clause 16.3 of the bill provides for the number of members who can form a committee of the Council. You need to inform the committee that Clause 16 of the bill is ambiguous on the types of committees to be formed under the National Teachers' Council. So clarification is therefore necessary to specify the types of committees. For example, the committees that handle grievances, ethics, and professional development. This would ensure structure and transparency in the Council's operations. So the desk research conducted by the committee revealed that in South Africa, the South African Council of Educators is mandated to form the following committees: Executive Committee, Registration Committee, Professional Development Committee, Disciplinary Committee, and any other committee which the Council may deem necessary. So the committee, during its benchmarking visit in Ghana, found that the Council or the Ghana National Teaching Board is authorized under Section 62 of the Education Regulatory Board Act to form the following committees: the Finance and Administration, Research, Monitoring and Evaluation, Licensing and Registration, Disciplinary, Professional Development, and Examinations Committee, and any other committees which the board may deem necessary. Committee observations. The committee observes that there is need to specify the different types of committees which the Council may form so that critical committees are not left out. The Council will still be given powers to form other committees as may deem necessary. Recommendation. The committee recommends that Clause 16 should be amended to specify the different types of committees of the Council. 4.6 is register of the Council. Clause 18 of the bill provides for the register of the Council, and the Council, however, does not provide for the qualifications of the registrar, which is a critical role in professionalizing the teaching profession. And you need to submit it to the committee that in order to ensure proper checks and balances, at least 2 names should be recommended to the minister for these positions. This ensures a more democratic and transparent process and prevents the minister from having unchecked power in appointing a registrar. They also stated that Clause 18.3 is not specific on how the deputy registrar is appointed. And according to NATO, it is key that the deputy registrar is also appointed by the minister on recommendation of the Council and must have similar qualifications of those of the registrar. The Education Service Commission stated that the registrar and deputy registrar should be appointed by the minister on recommendation from the Education Service Commission, and not that the Council are not the Council. And NAPSTA, on the other hand, indicated that the public service should advertise and appoint the registrar and other technical persons. The committee, in its benchmarking visit, was informed that the registrar and the deputy registrar of the National Teaching Council are senior professional teachers with 10 years experience and knowledge in matters relating to teaching profession, law, management, and administration. So the committee reviewed the Tanzanian Teachers Professional Board Act 2018 and established that the qualification for the registrar is a senior professional teacher with 5 years experience and knowledge in matters relating to teaching profession, law, management, and administration. The committee observes that it is pertinent that the bill provides for qualification of a registrar and a deputy registrar of the council, and the committee further observes that the bill should provide for the appointing authority of the deputy registrar. Recommendation. The committee recommends that the registrar should have a qualification of at least a postgraduate degree and 10 years experience and knowledge in teaching, law, management, or administration. B, the deputy registrar should have 5 years experience and knowledge in teaching, law, management, or administration. And C, the deputy registrar should be appointed by the minister on recommendation of the council. 4.7, requirement of competence test. The committee notes that clause 27(3) and 4 of the bill provides that the council may require a person applying for registration to do a competence test. In the committee's interaction with the Wisdom University, they indicated that the competence test is not necessary since it will call for establishing another body to carry out the competence test. And the competence test is a no-confidence test on the training institution. So they further stated that if there are any checks and balances, they should be at the level of accreditation of institutions and their programs. And Kabbalah University stated that it is unrealistic to expose a teacher to a competence test prior to registration, yet their entire training is aimed at exhibiting competences required of a professional teacher. UPTA informed the committee that whatever may be tested at this stage should be included in the teacher training packages upon passing, and the teacher should be registered automatically. And a qualified teacher from an accredited institution cannot be examined again by a body whose role or core role is not explicitly to undertake competence examinations. UNATU indicated that competence tests are not necessary and should be removed from this provision because one has already qualified by the time of seeking registration, and the appointing authority has already done its job in testing the competence of the teacher during the recruitment process. NAPSTA proposed that registration should be automated immediately after university and internship, and there is no need for competence test immediately after qualification, but it could be necessary during the renewal of license. NOTU stated that clause 27(3) and 4 should be deleted from the bill as it undermines the credibility of teacher training institutions may be stressful to a teacher. And the Minister of Education has also clarified to the committee that competence tests will be given to teachers from foreign jurisdictions who intend to teach in Uganda. Committee observations. The committee observes that the provision as it is in the bill is not specific to foreign teachers and thus should be clearly set out in the law if the ministry's intention was for it to apply to only teachers from foreign jurisdictions. Recommendation: the committee recommends that clause 27 should be amended to provide clarity that the competence test shall be applied only to teachers from foreign jurisdictions who intend to teach in Uganda. And B, the bill should provide for the requirement of a competence test for a foreign trained teacher or foreign trained teachers. 4.8 requirement of a degree in education. Clause 28 of the bill provides that a person is eligible to be registered as a teacher if he or she possesses a degree in education. And clause 65 requires teachers to comply with the requirement under clause 28 within 10 years of the amendment of the Act. Within 10 years of the amendment of the Act.
Which level?
Now, the stakeholders had the following submissions in regard to the requirement of a degree. Kabbalah University indicated that the bill should incorporate the qualification of a postgraduate diploma in education, PGD, among the eligibility requirements for teachers' registration. And Busitema University proposed that the pre-primary teachers should not be required to have a degree to be eligible for register as teachers, and the gradual phasing out of primary and lower secondary teachers without degrees was done with grade 2 primary teachers in the 1970s and 80s. Now, the Education Service Commission stated that the extension or expansion of eligibility of registration should be expanded as follows: degree in education, relevant degree, postgraduate diploma in education, and 3, diploma in education, i.e. grade 5, teacher who acquires a relevant degree qualification. Note to indicate that clause 28(1)(a) should be amended to provide for only a qualification in education. In their view, that we do not need the same teacher academic qualification to handle varied education levels like nursery, primary, secondary levels. Now, instead, emphasis should be put on necessary skills at particular levels. For example, early childhood development, skills for nursery teachers, blah, blah. Then UPTA informed the committee that graduates with the BA Arts, BSc Sciences with the PGD will automatically be disqualified, as the provision of the bill is very specific with a degree in education. So they further stated that in practical terms, it is unproven and unnecessary to require a necessary teacher or a nursery teacher to possess a degree instead of the required ECD skills as until now. So no clear nursery education curriculum has been put on the ministry except for the learning framework, which is still an experimental version. UPTA further stated that considering the deplorable working conditions and especially the salary levels of most teachers in the private schools, it is practically impossible to assume that they must conveniently acquire the degree qualification required, except when issues of their welfare and particularly salary levels is well answered to. And accordingly, the government should start with seconding salaries for private teachers to build their abilities to attain the requirements. Otherwise, this is exclusively intended to exclude the low-paid teachers from the teaching profession. That was UPTU. Muni University proposed that there is need to define the degree in education to include the postgraduate diploma in education and postgraduate diploma in teacher education. The directors of private institutions in Uganda under Nakawa Urban Council indicated that the eligibility requirement for a person to have a degree and be registered as a teacher is very ideal, since it aligns with Sustainable Development Goal 4 of quality education by 2030 through increasing the number of qualified teachers and improving and improving education facilities with equal access to affordable vocational training and higher education for all. They, however, stated that all costs from the above processes should, however, be removed, identifying sustainable funding sources to support the initiatives outlined in the bill. EN proposed that provision be inserted to include a degree in any discipline and a postgraduate diploma in education as a requirement for eligibility for those without bachelor's degrees in education in clause 28(1)(a), and to cater for paragraph 5.81 for teachers at higher institutions of learning under the National Teacher Policy 2019, but have other degrees in other fields but want to teach at any level. The Minister of Education and Sports informed the committee that the National Teachers Policy 2019 requires teachers to possess a bachelor's degree, and the Minister indicated that there is need to standardize the academic qualification of teachers in the long run. Teachers in the long run will help government to progressively remove the differences among teachers that are linked to salary scales and disparities. They also stated that the degree requirement is in compliance with the global teaching requirement in policies and sustainable development goals, SDGs. The committee, in its benchmarking visit to Ghana, found that all teachers in Ghana are required to have a degree qualification. The committee was informed that the public servants in Ghana are paid at the same salary scale upon attaining a bachelor's degree. Committee observations. The committee observes that the bill intends to ensure that the teaching profession is regularized and standardized, and the requirement of a bachelor's degree of a teacher will go a long way in achieving this. The committee, however, observes that persons who have done or are doing a bachelor's degree, which has a component of teaching subjects, and opt to teach, are not covered under the bill. And these persons go ahead and do a postgraduate diploma in education and are eligible to join the teaching profession. So the bill should thus cover this category of persons. Committee recommendation, the clause 28 should be amended to provide for eligibility for registration for teachers as a degree in education or a relevant degree and a postgraduate diploma in education for a pre-primary, primary, and secondary teacher. 4.9, intern teacher versus student undertaking school practice. The committee notes that the bill provides for an internship program under clause 29. The internship program will last 1 year as provided for under Schedule 3. The Minister of Education and the Minister responsible for education, the Minister of Education is responsible for the entire program. The bill also provides for school practice under clause 41 and in the interpretation section. In its interaction with the stakeholders, the following issues were raised under clause 29. Lila University informed the committee that the bill does well to introduce internship instead of school practice. This will give interns more time for practicals instead of the 8 to 12 weeks currently dedicated to schools or school practice. Internship will take a whole year, and this is excellent. They, however, noted that the new arrangement will have implications on budgeting and resource allocation for internship as an academic professional program, and time, so that the time the teacher takes in school, because internship is part of the academic life of a teacher. It also has implications for universities and other training institutions, since there will be no school practice. Faculties of education and in the universities must plan to establish demonstration secondary schools for their own to provide better practical training for teachers. That was Lira. Chambogo University stated that a one-year training needs to be reconsidered because universities and other teacher training institutions, through increasing the number of school practice from 2 to 3, can adequately ensure that the teacher trainees get adequate hands-on practical skills under supervision of competent staff that enable them qualify as competent professional teachers. They need to review their teacher education programs and have school practice in each of the 3 years of the education degree trajectory. Chambogo University further stated that, further questioned if the ministry will have the financial ability for the management of the supervision of the teacher trainee internship program. This is because most primary and secondary schools lack the basic facilities and equipment needed for effective teaching and learning to take place. There is a need to look into the facilitation and motivation implications of regular teachers and head teachers and ministry officers to carry out supervisory roles and responsibilities in a sustainable manner. Busitema University proposed that internship placement should be left entirely to the training institutions. They also raised questions regarding the ministry's preparedness to handle internship placement, citing its current challenges with the placement of intern doctors. COFT wondered what motivated the change from school practice to internship. They stated that industrial, commercial, scientific, and social works establishments prefer this term. They were not certain that the head teacher can manage being the supervisor. Suppose the head teacher is incompetent or has lower moral turpitude. They proposed involving third parties such as the district education officers and universities. That was their view. Soroti University indicated that the bill does not include teachers' welfare during the internship. That was their view. EN made a proposal for recognition of prior learning experience and equating these other present qualifications they hold to equating and equalizing or substantial reduction of the 12 months requirement for internship in the third schedule in the event the same considerations is missed in the regulations. So according to EN, it is inconceivable to have a person already teaching at higher institutions of learning with a master's degree or a PhD to do a 12 months internship teaching. The committee's benchmarking visit to Ghana revealed that the Ghanaian government has compulsory national service for all students who complete degree program from any profession. So the government caters for all costs of the students under national service commissions or programs. Now, committee observations. The committee observes that it is not fair for a teacher to undertake internship as well as school practice. The Ministry of Education and Sports failed to show the committee how school practice has been ineffective for a teaching force. So the committee observes that the period of 1 year is too long after a teacher has completed a degree and is subjected to another year of training in addition to school practice. So teachers should only be required to do teaching practice and school practice, which is the same. So the committee further observes that the government is facing considerable challenges in handling intern doctors under the medical profession. It is thus a question of if the government will effectively handle the compulsory internship for teachers given the resource constraints which always affect the internship requirements under the medical profession. Committee recommendation. The requirement for internship for teachers be deleted from the bill, but in the alternative, teachers should be required to do school practice in each year of the teacher training course. So that is the committee recommendation. 4, issuance and cancellation of certificate of registration. Clause 31, 1C provides that the council may cancel a certificate of registration if it is in the opinion of the council and it is in the public interest to cancel the certificate. Note to inform the committee that clause 31, 1C is a subjective provision that is prone to abuse and should be deleted. UNATU stated that the phrase public interest is too vague and open to misinterpretation, thereby resulting in an inconsistent or unjust decision. There should be established specific criterion to guide the council in determining when it is working in public interest, and this criterion should be transparent. So without a clear definition of what amounts to public interest, this section can be abused and weaponized. For example, public interest could be determined by court. Committee observations. The committee observes that clause 31(1)(c) may also be prone to abuse because it is difficult to establish what the public interest amounts to. Recommendation 31, clause 31(1)(c) should be deleted. Then 4.11, teaching or teacher training. Clause 43 of the bill provides for the teacher training requiring the person teaching a degree in education or in a training institution to possess a relevant qualification. Not to indicate that the committee that the clauses are adequately addressed in the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act, CAP 262, and the enabling regulations thereof, and therefore it may not be very necessary to have it here rather than the act in question may be reviewed for strengthening in a case of NNU stronger proposals. National Council for Education proposed that clause 44(2) be recast to provide that the minimum admission requirement referred to in section 1 shall be determined by the National Council for Higher Education in consultation with the Council, as this is in line with the National Council's mandate in section 4D(2) of the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act, CAP 262. Committee observations. The committee observes that clause 43 and 44 are going beyond the application of the bill provided for under clause 2. So the bill does not stretch to regulating lecturers in the training institutions. So these two provisions are provided for a conflicting mandate between the National Teachers Council and the National Council for Education. Recommendation: clause 43 and 44 should be deleted because it has a conflicting mandate with the National Council for Education under Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act, CAP 262. On the schedule 4.12, schedule 2, and paragraph 2 of the schedule 2 of the bill provides for the quorum for a meeting in the council. Committee observations. The committee observes that the quorum of members of the council should be amended to 2/3 as opposed to sitting specific number. Recommendation: the quorum of members of the council should be 2/3. Conclusion. The committee understands the pertinent need to professionalize the teaching profession, and the Council also appreciates the establishment of the National Teachers Council to enable the professionalization of the teaching profession. So the committee recommends that Parliament adopts the committee report and passes the bill subject to the proposed amendments. I beg to submit, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you. You still have a report? You call.
Oh, now, Right Honourable Speaker, according to my Honourable colleague, he has his counterpart, Honourable Muyingo, but let me take the honour to invite the Shadow Minister to present his minority report. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, also allow me to thank my chair of the committee, whom we have worked together for some good time. And however, I have a minority report, which is signed by 3 members. That is Honorable Kaimba Solo, Bukoman Simbi, Honorable Song Joseph Gonzaga, Minister of Education Shadow, and the Honorable Linda Irene Fort Poto, member. Madam Speaker, the background of the bill has been stated. Let me go to points of dissent. The grounds of dissent are in the following areas. A. Clause 5. The bill proposes to establish the National Teachers Council as a body corporate with the power to do all things a body corporate may lawfully do, including to shoo and be shooed. This is against the cabinet policy to rationalize government agencies so as to reduce government expenditure. Clause B, Clause 45 of the bill requires all teachers engaged in teaching to undertake continuous professional development, CPD. This is unfair for teachers given their meager pay unless government intends to cover the costs for the continuous professional development. Clause 6, Clause 33 of the bill provides for licensing of teachers, and Clause 36 provides that teachers will be required to renew the license after every 4 years. The teachers will also be required to pay for the license and their renewal. This is quite costly for the teachers. The current licensing regime is favorable for teachers, and we appeal that the status quo is maintained. It is online, free of charge. Clause 28 requires every teacher to have a degree in education in order to teach at the levels of pre-primary, primary, and secondary education. However, the current law provides that pre-primary education is run by private agencies. All persons are not under the government's structure. Findings and recommendation. National Teachers Council. The bill proposes to establish the National Teachers Council under Party 2. The Cabinet adopted the rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure RAPEX on 22nd February 2021 as a step to reduce government expenditure. Parliament has rationalized the number of government agencies in a bid to reduce expenditure, and tough decisions had to be made to rationalize the agencies. It is inconsiderate for government to rationalize agencies on one hand and on the other hand create new bodies. Furthermore, The Ministry of Education and Sports was not able to demonstrate to the committee the importance of establishing a council, and therefore the establishment of a National Teachers Council is against the policy of rationalization. What is our recommendation as a minority? Instead of creating a council of 7 members, the government should direct those funds to the district, particularly to the inspection department, to oversee and supervise the performance of teachers in schools. This will enable the proper evaluation of the performance of teachers as opposed to establishment of a council to carry out their role. And most likely they will be living here in Kampala. 4.2, Madam Speaker, continuous professional development. Clause 9G, H, and I of the bill provides that the council shall develop all courses to be developed continuous professional development programs for teachers, accredited providers to offer continuous professional development for teachers, and conduct training of trainers of continuous professional development programs. The bill goes ahead under clause 45 to require every teacher engaged in teaching to undertake continuous professional development. Furthermore, clause 45(4) provides that the council may suspend the practicing license of a teacher who fails to undertake continuous professional development. The Ministry of Education and Sports informed the committee that just like other professions, teachers should meet the cost of their CPD. We note that similar requirement for continuous professional development exists in Advocates Act, Cap 295, under Section 10, that provides that the committee shall conduct and promote continuous legal education for qualified legal practitioners. Section C of the Uganda Law Society Act, Cap 305, provides that the Law Council shall exercise through the committee general supervision and control over professional legal education in Uganda, including continuous legal education for persons qualified to practice law in Uganda. In practice, Law Society requires advocates to pay fees for different continuous legal education trainings through the year. These fees range from 100 for online courses to up to 500 for physical courses. Following a benchmarking visit to Ghana by some members of the committee, the members interacted with the National Teaching Council of Ghana, who informed the committee that teachers in public schools in Ghana are given continuous professional development allowances by government. The requirement for continuous professional development for teachers raises questions on affordability of continuous professional development programs for teachers, considering their monthly pay. Unlike other professions like advocates and accountants, surveyors, among others, teachers are not well remunerated. For instance, a primary teacher earns about 400 shillings per month, and the nursery teacher earns around 200,000 Uganda shillings, which 400, yeah, I think that's what I've said. Okay, 400,000 shillings per month, and the nursery teacher earns about 200,000 shillings, which does not cover most of the basic needs of a teacher. Recommendation. Unomingo is looking at me. Government should fully cover costs of continuous professional development for teachers. If not, it should not be a mandatory requirement for teachers, which causes cancellation of licenses. 4.3, licensing of teachers. Clause 33 of the bill provides for licensing of teachers, and clause 36 provides that teachers will be required to renew the license after every 4 years. The teachers will also be required to pay for the license and their renewal. The current regime is favorable in that a teacher is not required to pay for the registration or licensing. However, the bill gives the council power to prescribe a fee for teachers to be licensed every 4 years. This is quite costly for the teachers. In addition, this proposal will further affect a number of persons who will be desirous of pursuing the teaching profession. The Uganda Private Teachers Union informed the committee that there is already a deficit in the number of teachers in the country as shown below in this table. Primary schools, approved staff is supposed to be 172,531 teachers in Uganda. The existing number is 138,080 teachers. The deficit is 34 teachers, 523 in the whole country. Secondary level, the approved staff should be 82,782 teachers. The existing staff level in Uganda now is 35 teachers, 950 teachers. And the deficit is 46,842. The current situation in Uganda does not favor, honorable members, Madam Speaker, I seek for your protection. The current situation in Uganda does not favor teachers, and therefore many teachers, many are leaving the profession through early retirement or fully to pursue other businesses such as border riding, to mention but a few. Our recommendation, honorable members, the status quo should be maintained as in education, pre-primary and post-primary Act Cap 247. Teachers should not be required to pay for registration or licensing. Degree requirement 4.4. And the members be very careful on this one, because what he said, we have a difference in ours here. Let me go. Clause 28 of the bill provides that a person is eligible to be registered as a teacher if he or she possesses a degree in education. Clause 65 requires teachers to comply with the requirement under Clause 28 within 10 years of the commencement of this act. Section 11 of the Education Pre-Primary and Post-Primary Act Cap 247 states that pre-primary education is run by private agencies or persons. While the government provides for universal primary and secondary education, it does not cater for pre-primary. That implies, the emphasis is mine because I bolded, that implies that it does not recruit teachers for pre-primary. Basing on this, government should not impose a requirement of a degree on an area where they do not have a hand. The committee interacted with the Uganda Private Teachers Union, WOP2, which indicated that it is unproven and unnecessary to require a nursery teacher to possess a degree. Instead, they require more early childhood development skills, as no clear nursery education curriculum has been put by the ministry except for the learning framework, which is still an experimental version. Madam Speaker, additionally, WOP2 submitted that considering the deplorable working conditions and the salary levels of most teachers in private schools, it is impossible to assume that they may conveniently require the degree qualifications required, except when issues of their welfare, particularly salary, is well answered to. Accordingly, the government should start with seconding salaries for teachers in private schools to build their abilities to attain their requirements. Otherwise, this exclusively is intended to exclude the low-paid teachers from teaching career. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, during the benchmarking visit to Ghana, the committee members were informed that all teachers in Ghana are required to have a degree qualification. However, All public servants in Ghana are paid at the same salary scale upon attaining a bachelor's degree. In contrast, in Uganda, teachers who have bachelor's degree are still paid the same salary as a person who has attained a lower qualification, grade 3 certificate. I will not talk about science teachers. It would be unfair to require a teacher to have a minimum of a degree without a salary commensurate to the degree. Madam Speaker, most stakeholders did not agree with the degree qualification, and their views are as follows. Busitema University. This is a 6-page report. Busitema University. This is the institution where they are taking teachers for degrees. Proposed that pre-primary teachers not be required to have a degree to be eligible to register as teachers. Proposed gradual phasing of primary and lower secondary teachers without degrees, as was done with the grade 2 primary teachers of the 1970s to the 1980s. Educational standard ASC. Expansion of eligibility for registration as follows. A. Degree in education. B. Relevant degree and postgraduate diploma in education. A diploma in education, i.e. grade 5 teacher who acquires a relevant degree qualification. Note 2. Clause 28(1)A poses a qualification in education. In this regard, it is our view that we do not need some teacher academic qualification to handle the education levels like nursery, primary, or secondary levels. Instead, emphasis should be put on necessary skills at particular levels, e.g. early childhood development skills or nursery. Recommendations. 1. Madam Speaker, teachers should not be mandated by law to have a degree to teach. However, government should encourage teachers to upgrade their qualification gradually. 2. Where government requires a degree, government should provide a salary commensurate to a degree qualification. 3. Government should put in place programs for the gradual upgrade of teachers to acquire the degree qualification, and the cost should be borne by government because these are their civil servants already teaching. 4. Government should improve the working environment. For schools, as most structures are dilapidated, teachers lack teaching materials, and the student-teacher ratio is high. Madam Speaker, in this one, as I conclude, you are requiring me to have a degree, but you are taking me to a class which is dilapidated, the floor is smeared with cow dung, and the environment, the rooms are condemned. Then the teacher is having a degree in a nice suit like someone is putting on, but going into a school, a class with no teaching aids and everything not put in place. And that one alone cannot suffice. So, Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I want to thank the members and you, Madam Speaker, in particular, the ministers who came before us, the Attorney General, and this in their own submission. This is what they stated, members. There is a slide. Therefore, the National Teachers Bill 2024 is the guarantee for translation into action the intent of the National Teachers Policy of 2019. The bill is facilitate regulation of the teaching profession by allowing certain courses of action, coercion. Coercion, look up that word on your phones, by Google it, through requiring or prohibiting certain behaviors of teachers and segregating institutions. So I pray, honorable members, through the speaker, that you use the divine intervention. That's why even I moved with this nice rosary with me, with the word of God, that you support our minority report with the powers of the Pope, since I'm from Rome and the Vatican. Madam Speaker, this one, just the divine intervention will come to you, and you accept the minority report, and this bill will eventually be collapsed. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, of course, these reports are informative. They help us in making amendments to our clauses. That is the role of the reports. You've had both the major report and the minority report, and I'll stand over the debate. Item 8. What's wrong with you?
Item 8 on the order paper. Motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government.
Correct wants to become the Speaker of Parliament. This size mate of yours. Yes. Peter, Minister, do you have something to say?
No, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, like you
No,
correctly,
they are talking with size mates.
Madam Speaker, you have correctly guided that my colleague made it on record here that I'm the size mate. So I don't know whether she wants now to take over a different size, which I
Honourable members, we stand over the debate on this report, and let's go to an item. Pardon?
Right, Honorable Speaker, but the members who are present this late evening should be given the priority when the debate ensues.
I know all of you. I can see all of you. I can see all of you. I see Hassan, I see Jimmy, I see Hajati, I am seeing all of you. Honorable members, there was a report. Item 8.
Item 8 on the order paper. Motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, on the Auditor General's report on Treasury operations and the consolidated financial statements of Government of Uganda for the year ended 30th June 2023.
Honorable members, we stood over this report because we wanted a response from the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. And when the minister came, there was a contra review from Honorable, I think, Jonathan Odur, and he said what could be done is to get a response in terms of a treasury memoranda. And we can only get a treasury memoranda after we've adopted the report. So I now put a question. I put a question that the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government on Auditor General's report on the Treasury operation and consolidated financial statements of Government of Uganda for financial year 30th June 2023 be adopted by this House. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. And we also have reports that have not been completed, that have not been presented to this House. And since we are going into a budgeting time, we have to adopt those reports too, for us to complete the accounting cycle. I put a question that the recommendations of Auditor General on financial statements of all the entities that were not reported by Public Accounts Committee, Central Government for financial year ending 30th June 2023 be adopted by this House. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, there was a motion in this House that was brought by Honorable Nathan Nandala, where at the end of the financial year, the only thing we allowed the Honorable Chivumbi to continue with is the projects. So what we are adopting is the reports that have not been brought here, but the time has passed. So we'll continue with the debate on this report of Mukatuliki and the education bill tomorrow. How is adjourned to tomorrow?
Oli ku MRI TV eddoboozi ly'omuvubuka. Oli ku MRI TV eddoboozi ly'omuvubuka.
Kutunuulira essomero lya Homecare School of Journalism and Mass Communication erimu ku ssomero erifuuse ensonga, erimu ku ssomero erifuuse ery'amaanyi mwaka ag'amawulire, nga kizibu okwogera institutions mu Uganda n'otayogera essomero erya Homecare School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Ki ekirifuula ery'enkizo mu g'enkizo? Ki ekirifudde okubeera nga gegamu ku masomero agakyasinga ku training abaana mu by'amawulire? Homecare yatandikibwawo myaka gira 8 egyakakuba emabega. Yatandikawo mwaka ogwa 1996 n'omusajja Dr. Charles Ogwell ne mukyala we Susan Ogwell, gegamu kwago amasomero agaluddewo mu by'amawulire. Tugenze tuko nako olwaleero mwaka ogwa 2024 nga lirimu ku ssomero erikyasinga okutreninga bannamawulire ab'amaanyi, era buli munnamawulire nagwolaba ku TV, ku radio, alina eddoboozi eriwooma ku mizindaalo, abayimbi, bakomedian bonna bayitidde ku ssomero lino eno. Era essomero lino ojja kulyogerako ng'agamu ku masomero agakyasinze okubeera n'ebyuma eby'omulembe. Lyerimu ku ssomero lyosobola okwogerako ng'essomero erikyasinze okubeera n'ettutumu n'okusomesa bannamawulire abafuuse ensonga. Ojja kwogera ku comedian Alex Mohanji, omu ku abo abasudde ebitone by'abacomedians mu Uganda. Ono n'akulira comedy store ono mu Uganda. Ojja kwogera ku musajja Toby Innocent Kafeero, yomanyiga Dr. T. Amale, Ibrahim Mukasa awo. Ojja kwogera ku Anteira yasomera awo, ono akola ku Sanyuka TV ku Next Media company eyo gy'akolera. Essomero lino ebbanga lirimaze ery'emyaka 28 lifulumizza abayizi abali ku mutendera ogw'ensi yonna, nga mulimu n'abo bannamawulire abakolera ebweru wa Uganda. Homecare emyaka 28 gyemazeewo mu nsiike z'ebyamawulire. Baluminayi bangi bosobola okwogerako: Basanyi Robina Mweruka, Nono Mbaka Parliament owa Mityana, Joyce Baagala Ntwatwa gye yasomera. Essomero eryo ndowooza oliraba bonna bonna abalisomeddeko n'obutuuka olunaku olwaleero. Buli mwana yenna atuula wansi ayagala somera ku Homecare, olw'okuba nti buli munnamawulire yenna gwe yeegomba bw'atunuulirako bw'ati n'alaba nti Joyce Baagala Ntwatwa gye yasomera n'ajja kujja asomereyo, Baagala PCDN gye yasomera n'ajja kujja asomereyo. Era tugenze okutuuka olunaku olwaleero mu bbanga lya myaka 28 bukyanga Homecare eyo etandikibwawo, nga gegamu kwago amasomero agatwalibwa nga gakyasinze mu ggwanga erya Uganda mu kuvumbula ebitone by'abannamawulire, mu kuvumbula ebitone eby'abakomedian, eby'abayimbi bonna. Homecare School of Journalism and Mass Communication bwe ntandika okunyonyola Homecare tuyinza okusulawo n'abo ba alumni abagisomeddeko abafuuse ensonga mu ggwanga, nga n'abamu bayingidde ebyobufuzi nga ba Joyce Baagala Ntwatwa basomedde awo ku Homecare, abafuuse kati ab'amaanyi mu kisaawe eky'ebyobufuzi. Homecare esangibwa Bukesa Sir Apollo Kaggwa Road, Kyaddondo. Abeetaaze osobola bafuna ku namba y'essimu 0752 43 59 50.
Oli ku MRI TV